Okay, well, the time looks like it's a little after 7, but I would like to call the meeting to order. And of course, we've got a roll call out there for Leslie.
Okay.
We have Rob, we have Dennis, and we have Melinda, and we have, who else I can see?
Patrick just signed in.
And, yeah.
So let me, Ruth,
Patrick's here.
Ruth, you have to call their name and they have to say where they're calling in from.
Okay, good. Okay.
So, like you say, Camus, and that's what.
Camus Donaldson, you say
Camus
yes.
Donaldson is calling from her home on East Bloomfield in Royal Oak, Michigan.
Leslie Snow,
Here from Royal Oak, Michigan.
Patrick Andrews. Yes,
Melinda Lofton, Royal Oak, Michigan.
thank you. Rob Duchesne,
Royal Oak, Michigan here.
Patrick, can you please just unmute and tell us where you're calling in from?
where are you calling in from?
Technical difficulties.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Okay. And,
And so Chris did let us know, I think it would be an excused absence because he let us know he's traveling on the road today, so he won't be able to zoom in. Is that excused?
couldn't hear you, Tamas.
Chris let us know by email that he was unable to participate because he's on the road traveling in a car.
Okay, so Chris is excused.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Okay. Any public comment?
There was no public comment called in. We posted that public comment would be taken for an hour tonight and the line was open, but no one called in.
Okay.
Good. Okay, we need approval of the January 21st, 2021 minutes.
I'll move that the minutes be accepted.
Okay,
I'll
Rob,
I'll
made
second
a
them.
motion. Do I hear a second?
Camus,
Damas, seconded. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. We need to vote for committee officers tonight. We postponed that, but we have enough people here tonight to vote for officers for the year.
I always like to make a motion that we repeat what we've been doing because it's been working out so well.
Does that need a second?
I second it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Thomas, I did not hear what you said.
I said that what we've been doing in the past is working out so well. I make a motion that we repeat all the positions.
Okay, did you get that, Leslie?
Yes.
Okay, and there was a second from Rob Duchesne.
Yes.
Okay,
I just had one addition, or not addition, but I'm fine with being secretary, but I'm wondering if Pat and I both need to go to historical commission since Pat is on both committees now.
yes. In other words, what you're asking, Leslie, is do you have to attend both commissions or committee, the committee and the commission?
Yeah, because I had been doing that because we didn't have a member on historical commission. Good night.
Good night. Hi. Hi.
Who would prefer not to. I
I'll
will
second.
be holding a historic commission
What?
in the next couple of weeks, Leslie. And at that time, I will see how many people we have on that. And since Patrick is also on that, and if there are sufficient, then we can tell you that you don't need to go to that one.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay? Is everybody else in agreement with, we would go ahead with the same slate as we had last year?
Good.
Yep.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I have a
Yes.
question about one of our committee members, and that's Jim. Jim, are you with us on this committee? Because we heard rumors that you weren't anymore.
I'm having difficulty hearing Thomas.
We both-
Yeah, no, I'm officially no longer a committee member. I believe I've been replaced by
Melinda
Millennial Lofton. There
Lofton,
was some
yes.
confusion with the city. I didn't get the form from them that I needed. But at this point, I'm no longer an active committee member. I just came with Ruth this evening.
But he can still attend and make comments as a person of interest. Yeah,
Sure.
okay. Everyone then agreed with the slate. And I will look into the other thing for you, Leslie, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Leslie is coming through very clearly, and I'm just wondering why. Rob's pretty clear too, but Tamas, for some reason,
A little more bit.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I'm sorry, Ruth, you're breaking up. What was the last thing you said?
Okay. I'd like to discuss old business. Obviously, the first thing on the agenda is farmers market. Now, we need to look at this farmers market and say, okay, at this point in time, if we wish to, we could go ahead and just declare the building per se. If after the survey is done and they assign certain parking areas to the different buildings, which they have not done yet, that could always be added. So we need to say, do we wish to go ahead and just designate the farmers market per se, including the porches, of course, they would be included. So I need some comments on that, please. Patrick?
We've been going back and forth on that, and that was our last Zoom meeting, the one that you missed. And we didn't make a decision because we wanted Melinda to Melinda. Well, anyway, so
Yeah.
I apologize. So we wanted to bring her into the fold with kind of bringing her up to date. So we put it on the table. It's debatable what to do. I have been researching into the Michigan Historic Preservation Office, and there is a time limit that you have that once you put the paperwork in, there's a time limit. So I'm pretty sure we're at that time limit. So we should do our best, even though we have been trying to do our best just to get this online and moving along because we're well behind schedule. As far as what the boundaries are, it is a legal document what those boundaries are. And that's why I keep bringing up the survey, because the legal document goes into the zoning ordinance and it defines what that parameter is, whether it's the perimeter of the building or the property. So I did do some other research and online regarding the designation with the regulations, and it seems like you can find an argument for either way. You can find an argument saying the building is within a siting and it's the open spaces is just as important as the building. And then you can find another document that says, no, you need to exclude all that other stuff and it should just be the building. So the argument can go both ways. I just think we're running against a time limit as far as I'm concerned, and I think we need to get this through. But it seems like we never really get any like solid contact with the city. Like, where is we need the legal boundary in our document, and we have never gotten a legal document. So what does it take to get a legal boundary for the farmers market?
Hmm.
Any comments?
Yeah, I
So-
agree.
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
I agree. It feels like we keep talking in a circle because we don't have anybody from the city to respond to about. Again, I've only been on the commission for a year now. And I know obviously with Kim Gibbs and others, that have had properties that have been deemed historic, they attend the meetings and they offer feedback, and obviously at one point I know we had the assistant to the city manager who just seemed like he came there to take notes and maybe have some brief comments, but it seems to be a challenge to designate something, as historic when you don't have any feedback from the owner at all, and it just constantly feels like we're just talking in a circle about it, and it's delayed and delayed and delayed. And it's, and I know we're in unusual times, it's going on a year now, but at the same time, it just feels like it would be nice to have somebody, the city attorney or the city manager or somebody else here to help get this rectified. So.
If I can respond to that, it's Carol Schweimer from the city manager's office. And I have spoken with Mr. Brake about this, and it's up to this group to decide what they want to go forward with. But the city's position right now is that the parking lot doesn't belong to the farmer's market. The parking lot is used, for the civic center as it were right now. And the planning commission have made a determination. All they do is pass a recommendation to the city commission, but they were going to recommend not to designate if the parking lot's included. And that seems to reflect the city administration's position. So that's your problem. If you go forward with a non-recommendation from the planning commission, we don't know how the city commission will vote. It's up to them. But city administration does not recommend with the parking lot included. The city administration is recommending with the building because, again, the parking lots don't belong to a building. The parking lot in front of City Hall does not belong to City Hall. The farmers market uses it. The library is using it. Police department may use it. The court uses it. The parking is just city parking for all city events and all city residents and visitors to the city. So it's the stance from the city that clarifies it.
This is Melinda. If somebody who heard that could fill me in, I'm having a very difficult time here. It's cutting out in and out. I couldn't really catch what was just said.
The city is saying that the parking lot is not part of the farmer's market doesn't belong to the parking lot. It's a separate identity. And so they will not, the city will not approve the designation if we're going to go for the parking lot.
Look, Tim, if I can, the city staff won't recommend that.
Well, right. So it's that, well, then it's just dead in the water. It's just the end. I don't think we want that. So I think, to me, it's like, okay, well, let's get the building designated, but we still need a legal boundary as part of the document. And so the legal boundary would be considered as a survey, at least surrounding the building, but we need to have that legal document to say what it is.
And that's why you were saying we should have a city manager or somebody else at the meeting to help facilitate this, right?
Either
Yes,
that
we
or
just keep
an attorney.
staying in circles because really the city is the owner. And so we need owner participation.
Okay.
And that's what I was trying to clarify, Melinda. I did speak with the city manager. He is my direct boss. And that's what he said. The parking lot, the city administration, as city manager, he felt the planning commission's recommendation to not designate with the parking lot included was a correct determination because the parking lot doesn't belong to the farmer's market. It's used for all city buildings, visitors, residents in this area. It's not exclusive to the farmer's market. And what would happen is the planning commission would make a recommendation, city administration would support support that. But what the city commission ultimately decides to do is always up to the city commission. They take staff recommendations or they don't. But in this case, it would be probably more prudent for this group to go forward with just the building. But it is up to this group. And then again, it's up to the planning commission to make that recommendation to the city commission.
I'd like to clarify something for Melinda. Can you hear me, Melinda? I'm not sure that she can, but.
Melinda, did you get that?
No.
Well, they're basically saying that you can't, the city does not want the parking lot included in the idea of the farmer's market. And Tamis is saying, I think she's saying, that we need to proceed because we are racing a time limit. And at least as far as I'm concerned, although historically, I think the idea of a farmer's market without cars is silly because the first farmers markets were basically trucks backed into a space, but I'm willing to, it's not a deal killer. I think we need to proceed without the parking lot, but that's my feeling. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I am. Very clearly. Thank you.
Yep.
I would like to clarify for Melinda that when we began the study on the farmer's market, there was nothing except the farmer's market on that entire piece of property. And that's why it was included as the parking for the farmer's market. If both the police station and the city hall were then built on that property, but initially it was open, it was wide open parking. I just wanted that clarified for her. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. Question?
So back in the day, at first there wasn't any structure. It was just an open place where the farmer's market is what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. There was nothing there, so all of the space surrounding the market was included as the parking.
I think that goes to what our conversation was last month also, when we were saying that the events that take place there are also take place in the parking lot, that it's not just in the structure itself. So that's where that argument was coming from. And that was a good point that was made by someone up there.
Remember.
And that then the conversation went further that events back in the day were even when they'd have musical events like Bob Seger, and there were others, that those also, there were aspects of it that took place out in the parking lot. So that's where we were coming from. The woman who brought up the fact that there's food trucks out there, and that the events when they take place are not just in the structure itself. But anyway, point made, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a valid point, but I think it's time to negotiate and make an agreement with the city to define the boundary of the building and get it on the books.
What is the cutoff time frame of when a decision has to be made? Do you know?
Well, a year, and we're definitely past a year with our back and forth.
Okay.
I mean, nobody is throwing it out of the lineup, but I mean, technically you have a year to go through this once you turn everything in.
Okay.
I mean, under the circumstances, I have to imagine they would grant a 6 or 8 month extension, right? I mean, we haven't met.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we seem to be at an impasse here. And I don't know how much we're going to get done if we don't negotiate, if we don't concede them their point, because I don't see us winning this battle.
Mm-mm.
I have a question. Is it possible that we could, let's say we decide to say that that's our final report, or sorry, let me back up. When the state, we submitted everything to the state and they said they had questions. What, I forget, was there question about the boundary that we had listed in the report? I don't remember now.
No. No. It was not
Okay.
state.
So the state approved the report, but it was the city saying we have some issues with it.
This is correct.
Okay. So we could potentially vote, to keep that as our final report and then change the boundary later once the city does the survey, because what if they don't get to that for 3 months?
Yes, the final report can often include or exclude things that were in the preliminary report. That just depends. So that what they get from the state, they would look at and say, okay, the final report then is different than we had before, but this is the final report. So then they discard the preliminary report.
Okay.
On that list.
Yeah.
And we can point it out, we can make an amendment maybe for the first sheet of the final report saying we've amended the boundary and this is the new boundary.
Okay.
So it's not buried in the document, it's right up front.
Good.
So final report could include the building, including the porches.
We still need a boundary a legal boundary description. We can't just say it's the building. We gotta have,
Do we need to do that? We don't have those measurements yet.
well, it needs to be by a surveyor, not by us. They just need a survey around the perimeter of the building and it needs to be a legal description. It should be pretty easy to do. Carol, weren't the surveyors out there at the site recently? Didn't you say that they were going to be out there making adjustments?
Rob, you had anything further?
No, I'm waiting for Tamas's question to be answered.
I was directed to me, I didn't hear it.
At one point, Carol, you mentioned that the city was hiring surveyors to come back out because of finalizing the police department and the city offices. Are they still on schedule to come out to the site to survey? And can we include the boundary of
engineering division? The engineering division is going to have some surveying done, and Mr. Brake said what we could do it would be to include the survey of the farmer's market at that same time. That when the group 2 months ago wanted to include the parking lot, then they kind of put it on hold, and then last month it happened again. If you want to go forward tonight, I'll make the request to him. I have Leslie's minutes. I will just send him the minutes as proof of the request, and in an email saying, that the historic district study committee is making a formal request to have the survey done.
And that's just so I understand, Tamas, we need to have that in order for it to be properly designated a historic district, correct?
That's right. That's one of the criterias.
Yeah. And I want to just make it clear too. I mean, again, we haven't had a representative from the city in a bit. And I know you were obviously in the last 2 calls, but I don't think it's the mood of this group to try to, be anti-development or just block the parking spaces. I know there's a political aspect to that, but when you take a look at the history of that property, I mean, there really is some space around it. I mean, even if it's that west parking lot, that fenced area, just to the west of the building, where, it really feels like that makes it's a part of the structure itself. It's a part of place, and I really genuinely believe that. And others in this group, I mean, Tanamis and Chris and Rob, Leslie, everyone's done a great job of putting that together. And when you read through it, I mean, you clearly see that this is part of place, So I just want to make sure that's clear to representatives of the city that's what our thinking is, and that's what the process was. And I think others on the committee would agree with that.
Agree.
Mhm,
I
yeah.
would.
Nicely put.
Definitely. Yep. Nicely.
Yes,
nicely
I
put.
agree.
We have a motion to that effect.
I make a motion that we approve the new boundary to surround the farmer's market based on a survey done by the city of Royal Oak.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion
Aye.
passed. Okay. Uh,
And I think it's really important, when we do the next meeting we have, if Chris is going to be on, just that he knows and everybody knows to really make our best effort. And I know things happen and things popped up, and I didn't even know about this meeting until today, but I think it's important that the entire committee be here to vote, on whether or not that is historic, because technically we have a quorum and could vote yes, and Chris just wouldn't be on, right? Is that correct?
We have a quorum.
Yeah.
We have a quorum. Okay.
Plus, I know Chris's position, and his position is that he knew the city was going to push back on the parking, which I call more open space than parking, and he knew that was coming to a front. He kind of predicted that this would happen, and he thought we were going to end up where we are. We just weren't willing to go there. So I could say on Chris's behalf that he predicted what happened has happened.
Yep.
Okay.
Next, new business. New business now?
Yes.
Yeah.
New business?
I wanted to move to a next item under old business. I had heard from someone recently about removal of property from historic designation. I will have a meeting with the Historic District Commission to discuss this, because I'm totally unfamiliar with it. And should the board be as well. So that will take place in the next couple of weeks.
Well, hold it. What property is that? I didn't hear any of that.
I haven't got the address here right now.
If I recall, Ruth, I think you mentioned that it was one of the LA Young, or who,
Oh,
I think it is in the.
or Tamis, was that you that mentioned
Yeah.
that someone
Yeah.
was thinking about an addition and,
they wanted to withdraw their designation.
It's non-clerical house, and they felt that doing so was going to remove it, or that they wanted it removed from historic designation. So I will follow up with that and get more information on it. Okay?
yeah.
Okay.
All right. I wanted to ask Leslie Snow about the webpage update.
Yes, I checked our webpage through the city website, and it is up to date with our most recent frequently asked questions, that document we put together a couple of years ago. So that is up there. My only thought is to update that document to include a more maybe thorough description of how someone would go about making a change to their property. Because last meeting we talked about the scenario where somebody says, I want to have my property designated, but then I won't be able to get a new front door or put an addition on or change my kitchen. So I think maybe that's one area of the document that we could be more clear to help alleviate people's fears about what they can and cannot do. It seems a little intimidating that the answer is, well, you have to go before the HDC. So that doesn't maybe really answer their question going into it. So maybe we can put our heads together about how to make that portion of it more clear.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Do you remember the little slips that we had? We distributed them in terms of which places we had done and so forth. Also, we could include in there certain questions such as just what you were talking about, that, okay, to have your place designated, these are the requirements, but also if you wish to make changes, those changes could also be included in the same pamphlet or booklet or whatever we want to develop. That's what we need to develop.
Question?
Yeah.
Ruth, are those guidelines from the state?
They are from the state.
Yeah,
Well, maybe before we have this discussion that Patrick suggested, we should all review those guidelines ourselves. So
okay,
we're all speaking from the same hymnal.
yeah, good idea. Yeah,
Good.
I'll email them because I had them up on my webpage just moments ago. So I'll
Oh,
email them
beautiful.
after our meeting.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
okay, very good. Anything else on that topic? Yeah,
No.
no, okay. I'd like to move to new business. I have a request in front of me from Mr. and Mrs. Bush, Matthew Bush. Her name is Ann, his is Matthew. And I would like to read the letter to you, which I will include and give to Leslie so it can be included. This was written to me, and the address that she talks about is 323 Woodside Road, Orlo. My name is Ann Bush, and along with my husband Matthew Bush, we're the residents and owners of 232 Woodside Road, Orlo, Michigan 48073. We would like to request a study of our property for designation as an historic residence. Please find our information below. We would look forward to hearing from you regarding this agenda item on the next historic district meeting, February 18th. It's really adverse. So, we have a new property to look at.
Yeah, of course, Chris has already started. He's done a lot of research already.
It sure is.
So
Yeah.
he's emailed us all his research, meticulous research. And he's not quite finished yet, but he's like 98% done. So he let us know by email that he's been working on it. It lacks the typical significance, historical significance. I mean, it's a beautiful house and it's got
Yeah.
the right age, but it's the significance that we're missing.
It's not the strongest candidate we've ever entertained.
Yeah.
No, but I think it goes back to what we've been talking about before and being respectful of people who are interested, and that we put this report together that even though they're not, they don't qualify for all the criteria, but at least we've got the document showing the research that's pretty interesting. So at minimum, we should pass that along in a nice formatted way.
Absolutely.
So you would make what recommendation at this point?
Doesn't qualify because it doesn't have significance. Doesn't have personal significance. It doesn't have an event significance. It doesn't have a famous architect designing it. It's just a nice house. And we've been told not to designate just nice things. It has to have something behind it, a significance. And
I mean,
so,
the only case I think you can make for it, Ruth, is if we see it as a sample of an architectural style that's found in Royal Oak. But Tamas is right, as far as historical significance is concerned, it's not quite there. And I don't think our mission is to be a collection of typical Royal Oak architectural styles. I think we have to accentuate the historic part of it.
right, it's more than place. It's, even though we think place is very important, and Patrick just used that place beautifully and is talking about the farmer's market, but it's place and it brings in people too. And so we're lacking the people part with this house.
But Tamas is right. We have to respond respectfully.
We do.
I know Chris said in his email that he was, like Tamas said, he's almost finished with the research. So my, I don't know, vote would be to wait until next meeting when he can present the research, and if he finds anything else, and then we can decide, for sure, we could take a vote whether or not to continue further study before we write a letter to the owners. Presenting.
I think Leslie's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking it up on Google Earth. It looks like I kind of saw it from the picture too. It looks like there's a big addition on the back of that home as well.
Yeah. Could you make a motion tonight that we will postpone making any further comments until Chris has a chance to bring his information forward at the next meeting?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That, okay.
Oh, you need me to make the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion that we table the question of 232 Woodside until next meeting when we have a more full picture of the research.
Second.
Good. Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay.
Excuse me, Ruth. Melinda, you're there, and do you feel like you're with us?
I'm here and I'm with you for the most part. I'm having trouble hearing the discussion that's coming from the room with the three people in it, but you guys have been helpful deciphering what that is. And I know that you asked me last meeting, because I had grew up in Royal Oak, if there were other properties. I know you wanted me to think of some things, and there's a couple things that I did think of. I don't know if now would be the time, or.
It's all right with me.
Okay, and I have no idea of whether any of these would qualify, but there's a section off, and you might have discussed them before. There's a section off of Main Street between 13 and 12 Mile. I think that the street might be called Lakeview or something. It's
Yes.
In the back, and there's about 5 houses that are back there. That was I know some of the families that lived there back in the day. The Gabler family that owned Hagelstein's Bakery, I believe the Knox family, different Royal Oak families lived back in there. And those houses they just seem very different to me from what your normal house. We were talking last month about Hendry Boulevard and looking for a house on Hendry. So I just wondered if at any time you paid attention to that area.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
As usual, the difficulty is we can't draft people, they have to volunteer. And
Okay.
so we sort of have to sell the idea. But we haven't really directly approached people and said, do you want your house to be, a designated historic designation? There's not that that would be wrong, but that hasn't been our approach so far. But yes, we have
Okay.
looked at that street.
Although, if I recall, Tamas, didn't you have a connection to somebody on that street, like a client or a client's friend?
Oh, yeah, now, I'm like, where is that street?
It's a
I
street with
do,
a
yeah,
windmill.
yeah, I do have, yep, I have a client who, on that street. Yeah, finally it dawned on me what street that is.
Yeah. And I thought we had tried to kind of take that avenue of maybe getting it in that way, but it didn't
Yeah,
really
I
seem
tried,
like,
I tried and it didn't make any headway.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a wonder, it's like
What really
perfect.
clicked with me too was the one particular family that they also own the Hagelstein's Bakery. And I believe that one of those family members moved back into that family home
Oh,
and is pretty well known in the Royal Oak.
yeah, no, now I'm all excited because yes, that is like the perfect street. It's like a whole neighborhood to designate because we so
Yeah.
far we've got these little individual pieces, but
Right.
that's like the perfect neighborhood. That would be an ultimate designation, a real historical district.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that led me to think, with a discussion of somebody else, that do we have neighborhoods that we actually call certain neighborhoods, like down in Detroit, Boston Edison or Indian Village, or does Royal Oak have neighborhoods that are so designated? And if not, is that something that we might want to pursue that would heighten people's interest, not necessarily of a particular house or something, but, oh, I live in the, make up the name, the SoCal neighborhood. I just know many places are doing that if they haven't done it already. And for instance, not that I'm saying this for this neighborhood, but I have a document that shows the neighborhood that my house is in. The document was signed by John Quincy Adams back in the 1800s.
Wow.
For the sale of these lands. And so this entire tract shows that land property, and probably most of Royal Oak has a document that might be signed by John Quincy Adams. I'm going to get that document up to the Historic Society. But from where I worked at Department of Interior, they had done a look at the land of where this house is, and this house wouldn't qualify. I mean, it's certainly not what one would be looking for, but that I think there's just a lot of interesting things like that. Most people in this area wouldn't know that their house was on a land that was signed by John Quincy Adams.
I want
Beautiful.
my house to be. That is cool.
What is that?
I want my house to be signed by John Quincy Adams.
Well, maybe it has been.
Yeah. Where do you live?
Very good. Thank you, Melinda.
Melinda, you
You're
were
welcome.
asked, where do you live?
I live between between 14 and 13, Rochester and Campbell, and the designation that the land tract showed was from most of 14 Mile down to about Whitcomb, I think it was, and then most of Rochester Road down to Campbell.
It makes sense.
Oh.
Okay, was
And
there anything else, Melinda, you wanted to explore?
Here's another one, and once again, I think that this isn't my idea, a little bit off the wall, but I was looking at the Bill Williams studio Now, I'm not saying once again that that building is historic, but they're probably the history of that place and the people, that's where everybody went to have their senior high pictures taken. You know where that is, Bill Williams' studio?
I don't. Could you tell me?
Okay, it is, oh my gosh. If you're coming down Main Street past 12 Mile, before you get to, what's that first street? Is that Catalpa?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be on your right-hand side, and it's sort of a long building. It now has another photographer, I believe, in the building. But figure that's where all the pictures were taken of all the people who went to the Royal Oak schools. I don't know how far back that goes, but you've got the people like Tom Hayden and Glenn Fry and Judith Guest, or anyone who would have, if they went to those high schools. I know Tom Hayden did, and certainly Glenn Fry, and many, many others. And then all of, I don't know if you look at that Hall of Fame, I don't know if I know Muncie was from Royal Oak. I don't know if he went to Royal Oak High School, but there's a lot of people who did, and also, of course, city leaders. And it just occurred to me that all these people who went through that one little place of Bill Williams' studio, but I don't know how far back that goes.
Well, Melinda, how about this? If you can get us an address, then we can look at it ourselves through Zoom or whatever. And then next month we can discuss that. But I need to look at it. But all you'd have to do is by email send us an address, and we'll look at it with that.
Okay, will do.
Are you talking about it's on Crooks and Maine?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Prestige. It's
Every
Prestige.
road comes together.
Yeah, I think I know
Comes
what you're talking
together. Yes.
Yeah.
It's on the
Okay.
west side.
Yeah, I'm sorry you can't
Yeah,
see
that
it.
doesn't work, Patrick.
Yeah.
For the shot. Oh, it does
Yeah.
still say Bill Williams Studio on it, but it's Prestige
Right.
Portraits. Okay, cool.
I
Yeah, no, this is a very
think I
cool
know
building.
what she means, but we can discuss it next month.
And they kept the same name despite the fact that it changed hands. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to bring up tonight?
I just have one thing, one comment to make, that the historical commission is meeting for the first time in probably close to over a year on March 3rd at 7 p.m. Virtual meeting. So it's very exciting getting things back together at the Star House.
Good. How's it looking at the Star House? Anything
It's
new?
good. There was I dropped in several times over the last year, many times actually. I know there was a window, storm window, which I think you told me about, Tamis.
Yeah, when my neighbors told me, then I told you, and it worked.
We got to get, yeah, between Alex and I, we got it cleaned up, and then we've got to get, we got to get that put back into place. But other than that, yeah, it's been pretty good. So
It's a nice thing to have in Royal Oak, the Star House.
yeah, it's a cool place.
Yeah.
Ruth,
Yes.
in the minutes you had a phrase, new member orientation procedures. What did that mean?
That meant that we needed to have something for new members so that when they first come to the meeting, they will have an idea of what and how we proceed.
Okay, like a packet.
And it doesn't have to be lengthy, but it would be like a couple of pages that would sort of orient the person to what we do and when we do it and so forth. Give them an idea of the time of month and all the rest of that stuff.
Melinda, you
Yeah.
might be a perfect person to fill that in because you're relatively new. And what are the kinds of things you would have liked to have known the first day?
Yes.
Everything.
Well, if you could flesh
I'd
that
like
out a
to
little
tap,
bit.
tap into each of your brains. Certainly not my area of expertise, and it would be so helpful to have received a packet that is. I'll work with whoever wants to work on it, and come up with some list of things that I think might be helpful. But you guys, having been part of this for a long time, you would know, I think, also what I don't know.
Sure.
It's hard to say what I need if I don't know what it is.
It's a
So
good idea.
I suggested this on the agenda. My idea really stems more from if none of us are on the committee anymore and it's a new group of people or something, or, a new person coming in, how will anybody know how to do the work that we do? So my idea is to kind of put together lists of resources. Like I know Chris, he finds everything everywhere. But if we can get a list of what resources is he using for his research, Rob, you do a lot of the research. What are you using? Tamis, you get the architectural descriptions, you get the legal descriptions, you get the property information. Where does that come from? So I was thinking of putting together something where we can look at our reports and for each of those sections, what resources do people need to be looking at to actually do the report. So that's one part of it. And I think another would be to include the resources that we need to be familiar with to understand the group, like the Public Act 169, the other from I guess the Department of Interior, where that comes down from, and any other city resources that people would need to know about. Like if you're the treasurer, who do you need to talk to get what done? So I'm thinking about that and putting together some ideas for that. So basically, if we're all hit by a bus tomorrow, someone else could do what we're doing.
Good
So
idea. That was a great idea.
yeah,
You mean
I
getting
don't-
hit by a bus?
well,
Oh.
no, not that.
We shouldn't be all to be together because we should be socially distanced. From
Yeah, we
all,
shouldn't
so
ever
we
ride
shouldn't-
on a
It
bus
shouldn't even
together.
happen right now.
That is true. That is true. So
Let's all take a separate bus.
No riding on buses together.
I am okay starting to put together that type of packet. What if you're okay with it? What I might do is just solicit your ideas of what resources that you use and then sort of compile that. I think a while ago I picked Chris's brain and he sent me an email that took me a day to read. So I'll have to go through that as well, but maybe I can kind of come up with something for the next meeting and we can take a look at it and see, is this enough information that somebody could put together a report themselves?
Yeah.
Sounds
I'm for
good.
it. We don't need a motion on that, do we?
No.
No, I think you should proceed, Leslie.
Okay,
Good.
very good.
Melinda, would you get together then with Leslie Snow and give her some of your ideas too?
Yeah,
Okay,
great.
very good. Okay,
And I'll also say one more thing, Melinda. Hope, God willing, when we can meet again, hopefully within the next few months, probably be several. That if you are a baker at all, I encourage everybody to bring a baked good to the meeting.
That's the second meeting you told me that.
Okay, just want to make sure we're clear about how
It's
important
kind
that
of
can
why
be.
we belong.
Yeah.
we
I'm gonna have to go hit up a bakery.
We always
Just
used to
not
have
Herman's.
cakes at the meetings, yeah. We missed that, don't we? Anything else tonight?
Yes, actually, Ruth, there's one thing I would like to say.
Yes.
I very much appreciate your presence, but the next time we do this in this format, you're very distant, and as a result, your voice is very distant. If you could get a laptop or something and be closer, I think it would make the whole thing easier. Am I making sense?
My fault, Rob. I thought this forum might work better, but I'm not happy with this forum. Next time I'll make sure she's like at my work station at my desk. I thought this would work well in the conference room, but I'm finding I don't like the sound quality either.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah, we'll make sure I thought this was a better way to do it, but it wasn't. As it turned out, it was not. So
I need more Ruth and closer.
First I got her on a computer, now I got her on a conference room. I just keep trying to get her further and further in the future.
It is
Gotta
amazing.
take baby steps.
Not only is all this video, these Zoom meetings, it's really new, but the new building too. So
Yeah.
I totally get it. Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff to work with and get perfected. Hopefully, and it'll probably by the time it's perfected, we don't have to do it anymore. That'll be Murphy's Law, right?
We'll get it down just then.
And, you know, the public can come in now for appointments, but if you want to come in and see the building, email me. I can't take you everywhere in the building, but I can take you in a lot of the common areas. And I'm happy to do that. I have no problem doing that.
Well, that's nice.
Okay.
Okay,
Is it time to move to adjourn?
do you want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So move. The second over there.
Second.
Everybody's
Aye.
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 Thank you, and look forward to the next time.
What is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. When is the next meeting? Do we know that?
Third
That's
Thursday.
something we should discuss because I'm not available on March 18th, which would be your typical third Thursday. I think I could do the day before, the 17th, but I have to look at the other meeting schedules. But I will send it out via email tomorrow. So I have everybody's email except for Ruth's and Jim's, but I can call Ruth and let you know. The March meeting schedule is, of course, really packed once again, but we'll find a date for sure. Absolutely.
All
Sounds
right,
good.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Ruth.
Bye.
Bye, Melinda.
Wait,
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys
Yeah.
and
So
ladies.
long.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,